Hello, welcome to Glorify the Lord with me. Let's exalt His name together. I'm on a little road trip today, and so I'm doing this from the car, but we've pulled over, and I'm not driving, so all's good. Yesterday, I spoke on the wrath of God, and I'm going to continue with that today, and I know that doesn't sound right off the bat like a great encouraging subject, but it really is. Yesterday, I shared about how we have a God who cares. He's moved to anger because He cares. He's not indifferent to our lives. And He sometimes is angry at us, sometimes at our enemies, but He's moved because He really does care, right? When God comes into the room, He takes notice of things. Now, Keith commented to me a kind of a profound point, and he said this. He said that people automatically associate God's wrath with punishment instead of with salvation or love or defense, and I want to build on that. So yesterday I shared a little from Psalm 76, and I mentioned that in His anger, God rose up to judge, to save all the afflicted of the land. Okay, so that shows God's anger in defense of us, right? When we're afflicted, He's angry at the oppressors and He rises up, and that's great. But what about when God is mad at us? That's kind of a little different matter, and I want to talk about that. So Psalm 78 says this: when the Lord heard them and they were speaking against God, when the Lord heard them, He was furious. His fire broke out against Jacob, and His wrath rose against Israel, for they did not believe in God or trust in His deliverance. See, that's the kind of the fatherly love that should be familiar to us. He wants what's best for us, and He wants to deliver us. And He's like, why don't you want what I want for you? I want for you what's best. I have a plan for you. And so He's angry at that. But again, you can see that's from His love. He's trying to woo us back into the right place. And that moves me into Psalm 106. Let me read these verses from Psalm 76. Therefore, the Lord was angry with His people and abhorred His inheritance. So let me just say that therefore is referring to the preceding verses, which were a long list of awful disobedience. Okay, so the Lord was angry with His people, and He gave them into the hands of the nations, and their foes ruled over them. Their enemies oppressed them and subjected them to their power. Many times He delivered them, but they were bent on rebellion, and they wasted away in their sin. Yet He took note of their distress when He heard their cry. For their sake He remembered His covenant, and out of His great love He relented. He caused all who held them captive to show them mercy. So you see, God put them into their enemies' hands to get them to think straight. And just remember this: God always gives us a way out, and He's very patient. So the first thing He does is He gives us His word. He tells us what His expectations are. And if we follow what He says, if we obey, things are usually quite great, okay? But then if we disobey, if we rebel, He doesn't just give up on us. He'll send us warnings. And you can call them prophets or mentors, preachers, whatever. But they're people who remind us of what the truth is and how to really act in accordance with God's ways. And so that's His next step of love, is a warning. And if we persist in our rebellion, persist in our disobedience, He will give us into hard circumstances, our enemies' hands. But, when you think about that in a way, really it's just the fruit of our own choices. But yet He still sees us there, and He loves us, right? And He puts us in that position so that we'll cry out and we'll begin to say, wait a minute, Lord, I really do need your deliverance. And then He comes and He delivers because He is merciful. So let's remember that God has a plan for us. He loves us, and He cares enough about us to be angry and to move us back into the right place. So let's meditate on that. Thanks for listening. I appreciate that. And let's talk again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.